everyone, I'm Lauren. Welcome to Furniture Flipping Teacher, where every week I teach how I take old and outdated furniture, give it a new life, and sell it for a profit. In this video, we are going to be making over this very intricate style dresser and giving it a complete 180. I don't know about you guys, but I find these types of dressers at thrift stores and on Facebook Marketplace all the time. And they've really intrigued my interest because they're so intricate, but also that seems like a lot of time to get into every single detail. But I think I've figured out how we're gonna get into these details without it costing us so much time. Let's go ahead and get started. We picked this guy up at a thrift store for only $40. So this is a very solid piece of furniture. It's a great buy. My first step, as always, is to go ahead and remove the hardware. Now this hardware is quite unique. So I am gonna be keeping it, transforming it a little bit, and then reattaching it at the very end. Got all my chunky hardware in this bucket, so I'm gonna set that aside for later, and we're gonna get to cleaning. All right, time for cleaning. I like to use my double bucket, so I've got the soapy water over here and then the rinse water over here. Today, I'm just using good old Dawn dish soap. You know, you guys, a lot of people ask me what cleaner should I use, and truly it doesn't matter as long as it has that degreaser in it so that you're able to get all of that grease, oils, grime, dirt, dust off of the surface so that that paint can better adhere. All right, not gonna lie, that cleaning process was a bit tedious just because of all the details, but I needed to make sure to get into every single crevice. This is actually plastic, so I'm not gonna be sanding these areas, but I am gonna grab my sander to scuff sand the remainder of the dresser. And to do the scuff sanding job, I've got my handy dandy Surf Prep sander, and it is connected up to my Festool vacuum dust extractor. So that is just going to basically completely eliminate any dust that is gonna come from the sanding. It just sucks it right up. Like I mentioned, these parts on the drawers are plastic, so I am gonna just take my little sandpaper here and go around and hand sand the middle parts that aren't plastic. And I've got my RZ mask on there. The link's down below in the description. The reason I wasn't wearing it for my sander is because I've got that dust extractor, but now that I don't have that plugged up, I definitely want to protect my lungs with my RZ mask here. first step of making this piece easy to paint, and that is going to be a spray primer instead of putting primer in a sprayer, because you know they need to use the oil base, and that's a little bit difficult to clean out of the sprayer. So it can be done, but if you don't want to do that, you can always get the spray cans of primer. So I got Kills primer, which is very similar to the Bin shellac base. This is oil base, and it's going to block heavy stains and odors, but it's also going to allow adherence to the plastic appliques that are on the front of these drawers. So I'm gonna mask up and we're gonna spray with some primer. Guys, I have great news. Last time I used this Kills primer, I'll link the video up here, it was a disaster in a spray can, but they've changed the top of their cans and it is so much easier to hold onto and click down. It's not that janky little other cap that they had, so I'm really happy with what just happened. I didn't even use all of this can to spray this entire dresser. So we're gonna let that dry now. I'm gonna come back and we're going to look and see and fill in some of the gouges that are appearing with the primer, and then we'll get to painting. I'm ready to sand off the wood filler that I did on the top just to fill in some of those gouges, and then we're ready to spray the paint. All right, it is time to spray, and I am gonna be using Lily Moon paint in the color Blue Moon. So this is a deep navy color, and I'm excited to see how it sprays. I've used Lily Moon a couple times, but I brushed it on, and so, you know, I told you guys that I was gonna tell you a way to do this intricate piece very easily, and this is my solution, spray. So of course I've got my strainer, and I'm gonna pour that in. And like I said, this is my first time spraying Lily Moon, so I'm unsure, you know, if I'm gonna need to add much water or not at all. Just gonna pour about half in the container for now, and then if need be, I will add more as we get going. I'm just having a little bit of an issue with the paint spitting. So I'm thinking that it's too thin because I did add a tiny bit of water. Should have checked it before I added any water. So I'm gonna add some more paint now. All right, let's see how that works. Oh, you guys, I'm unsure what this sprayer is doing. Sometimes it just acts funny. It's sputtering the paint all over. Luckily, there's not really any texture, so I'll just be able to kind of not scuff sand, but sand it smooth with just a fine pad and then get coat number 2 on. second coat's finished. It's looking a lot better, but we are gonna need a coat number 3. Now that I'm done spraying, I am going to pull out the drawers here, and I am going to take my paint and paintbrush and go ahead and go around the edges of the drawers. This is one thing where if you decide to spray while the drawers are in there, if they're not flush to the surface of the front of the dresser, then you're definitely gonna have to go back and just fill in all those details with your paintbrush. Now that all of the touch-ups are done and our paint is completely dry, it is time to seal it all in with the top coat. I am gonna use this Varathane water-based, and it is actually, it has a satin finish. So it's gonna be just a tiny bit of a sheen, and I'm gonna do 2 coats of this so that I get really great protection over the whole entire surface. I actually already loaded it up into my spray gun, and then you can tell that I kind of tinted it with the Blue Moon color just so that it goes on nice and easy, and basically so that when it dries, you're less likely to see the top coat. First coat of top coat is done, so we'll let that dry, and then like I said, I'm gonna do 2, so we'll be back for coat number 2. While that first coat of top coat's drying, I am gonna work on the hardware right here, and I'm just gonna be spray painting it black. We're putting this on its back because I am gonna be adding some legs. So these are the legs that we're gonna put on this piece. I'm gonna start with the front 2, and then I'm gonna figure out the back 2 because there's not a back piece for me to connect them to, so I might have to add some wood back there. I got these from Amazon. I love looking around on there for some different things like hardware and legs to add to the piece. So what I'm doing is I'm just lining it up, and I'm gonna take my drill and make some pilot holes first, and then we'll screw in the little screws that came with. It is time to get these back legs on. So the other day I got the front legs on, and I realized that the back legs are gonna need a little bit more reinforcement since there's no piece of wood back here that's going all the way across. So I got a plan, and what I'm gonna do first is to get rid of some of this existing wood that's in my way, and then I'm gonna be adding a piece of wood back here to be a support, much like this front piece is, so that the legs can then go on the back, and I'll walk you through each step. I am gonna be using my multi-tool here, which is just a saw. It has a blade, and it's just kind of allows you to saw different things pretty quickly, as well as any smaller areas. So this is glued on. I could probably get it off another way. It might even be nailed on as well, but I'm gonna try my hand with the multi-tool and try to get that cut off. All right, so we got the corner piece off, we got the middle piece off. So next step is to measure from this side to see how big I need to cut my piece of wood so that it'll fit on that back right there. Looks like we're right at 60 1/4. So I'm gonna also measure this guy. I'd much rather measure a little bit too big to start with and have to kind of cut a little bit off a little as I go. 60 1/4 inches. So I'm gonna go head over to my miter saw and we're gonna cut this down and fit it up. So like I said, I wanted to make sure that I cut it too big, if anything, but not too small. So I cut it too big the first time, and then I just needed to cut off about, a little 1/4 of an inch there. So we've got our piece of board here. Now we're going to screw in some pocket holes so that I can connect it easily to that back of the dresser. So I've got my pocket holes screwed in on this side as well as the other side. So basically all I've got to do now is go ahead and screw them in, and we should have a back piece to put the legs, to attach the legs to. I cannot believe this transformation. Let's check it out. Like I said at the very beginning of this video, I see these pieces all the time, but for some reason my brain just couldn't think of a way to transform it, modernize it a little bit, and then make it more desirable for someone to have in their home. But I finally broke down, I brought one home, and I actually had a customer who wanted to customize it. I sent her some photos of our inventory and she chose this piece. We played around with some different color choices, and ultimately this is the look that we ended up with. I am so glad that I decided to save this one from the thrift store. The legs, I told Neiman, it literally elevates it off of the ground, but not only that, it elevates the look of the dresser itself. When we had those legs on, even before the hardware was on, I was already captivated by the way that the legs made this piece look. So after grabbing this guy for just $40 at the Salvation Army thrift store and putting around $60 into it between the legs, the hardware spray paint, the Kills primer, the paint itself, and the top coat, we're all in around $100, which really isn't too much of an upfront cost. And then with my client, I gave her that range again of $500 to $600, and this one was kind of, it gave me a little bit of a run for my money. So I am gonna go ahead and charge her the full $600, and you guys, I'm so excited for her to see it. She hasn't seen it at all yet, and I'm really excited to see it even in her home. She sent me a picture of where it's gonna go, and I think that this is just gonna fit absolutely perfect there. It took me so long to gather a vision for these types of pieces, but after drawing inspiration from several other creators and just continuing that thought in my brain, you know, I came up with this, and that is what I want to encourage you guys to do as well. Maybe you don't have a vision immediately, but start drawing inspiration from Pinterest, from other creators, and see what you can make out of a blank canvas piece of furniture. I think what was really scaring me off about these types of pieces was all of the detail, and so I am glad that I decided to go ahead and use my sprayer. If you guys haven't tried out a sprayer, I encourage you to. I'm gonna be doing a video here in a couple of months about a sprayer for beginners, but other creators have also created videos. Christina Muscari at Pretty Distressed just created a video all about the Home Right sprayer and how it's very simple for beginners. So that really helped me get into all of these intricate details, and I think next time I would probably lay this on its back to get even more under these details. I did have to go back a little bit with my brush and make some touch-ups, but nowhere near the amount of time that it would have taken me to hand brush in between every single crevice and detail on this piece. I really don't even think I would have attempted this project if I had just had a brush. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and again, just draw inspiration from this and from other creators so that you guys can turn the outdated furniture, maybe that's in your own home or that you come across in thrift stores, and you can come out with something similar to this. We'll be back next week with another video, so be sure to get subscribed down below, and thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you on the flip side.